All we need nowadays to make a film is an iPhone. Films like High Flying Bird and Tangerine did it, so can I. Can I? You hear everywhere that now our iPhones have gotten so good that we no longer need these more expensive cameras to make a film. It seems as though we woke up one day and this was all of a sudden possible. Tangerine's director, Sean Baker, made this film in 2015. And since then, we've had a barrage of other productions that have used iPhones. The issue is though, they didn't have to. They then surround the iPhone with thousands of dollars worth of stabilizers, lenses, lighting, audio gear, and other expensive equipment. This defeating the purpose of using an iPhone in the first place. Don't get me wrong, iPhones can produce a great image in the right circumstances with great lighting and limited movement. So does that mean the filmmakers making these films are just giving you false promises and high expectations? To understand this better, I'm going to break down the drawbacks with using an iPhone and how these productions overcome these issues. These films don't just use the naked image coming straight out of the iPhone's lens. They all pretty much use external lenses to help make the image more cinematic by giving the image a wider viewing angle or creating a specific look that the director or cinematographer are after. This could be in the form of a clip-on lens or an actual case that you put onto the phone for perfect alignment of the lens. Most of these professional productions will use lenses from companies such as Moondog Labs, where a single lens alone costs $150, not to mention the case or clamps needed on top of this to attach it to the phone. What about stabilization? If we ignore all the films that use a ridiculous amount of stabilizers and rigs to create a cinematic look, and look at what Tangerine used. They used the Steadicam Smoothie, which retails for about $150. So now the lens system and stabilizer has set you back around $350. And that only includes one lens. If you wanted to interchange the lenses for multiple uses, that'll set you back extra. What about audio? There's no avoiding it. If you're planning on filming anywhere other than perfectly silent areas, and where the cast are close enough to the iPhone, where the internal mics can pick them up. Or if you don't want your audio sounding like this.
Definitely need more of that in this day and age, and I think
then you'll need to look at external mics and audio. Most films use what we call shotgun mics, and some productions for specific uses might opt for using lapel mics that clip onto your clothing. The lapel mic I'm using right now costs around $600. Or you can get a shotgun mic, which for an entry level will cost a couple of $100. This will then need some sort of portable recording system, or at the very least an adapter, like this one from Rode. And the last consideration will be apps. You see, they don't just use the standard camera app on your phone. They all use an app called Filmic Pro. This is a great program that gives you additional functionality. For example, manual adjustment of focus and exposure. And this app costs around $23 Australian. With all these additions, we're now looking at somewhere between $700 and $1,200, depending on the equipment needed. And that's disregarding the $1,000 phone in the first place. But there really isn't a ceiling to the amount of money that can be spent. And with that minimal $700 price tag, we could get a used Canon 7D from eBay, which will give you a lot more functionality and storytelling opportunities. Okay, so it's not fair comparing the 7D, as this doesn't include all the extras, like external mics, memory cards, and stabilizers. But I think you get my point here. We all know the expression, the best camera is the one that you've got, which is true. Except when most of us make films, we plan and prepare, and we put time into pre-production, which means we can organize equipment. So if we can't afford the equipment, you might be able to borrow the equipment from someone who already has it. So let's explore this further to see the validity of this view. Let's say you're young, or you really can't afford the equipment, and you can't borrow one, then go ahead, use your iPhone, start creating. Nothing's holding you back. The best way of learning is by doing, so do. Try new things, make mistakes, explore new stories and new genres. But if you do have the money, you won't regret it. The Canon 200D is only around $600 here in Australia. With this camera comes native audio input, interchangeable lenses with optical zoom. All in all, you have better control of your image. And used right, It will really take your storytelling to the next level. And here's some food for thought. If all we really needed was an iPhone, Hollywood wouldn't spend tens of thousands of dollars for a single camera. To reiterate, we're all at different points of our storytelling journeys. These companies that use iPhones for productions, more often than not, use iPhones as either a gimmick or to prove a point. Use the best that you have. If you have an iPhone, great, then use it. But if you have access to a DSLR or better, then use that. Even if it is an earlier HD version, your production will thank you for it. At the end of the day, we have a habit at looking at a film and thinking they use this certain bit of equipment, so we need to use it as well to be just as good. But the truth is, a great film can be made for $200 or $200 million. The question we should be asking is not what camera did they use, but what storytelling technique did they use? What did they do different to make the characters stand out? And why is the film so memorable? Because we all know that bad films can be made with the best of equipment, but the reverse is true also. So follow your story and let it be heard. Create the most memorable characters with gripping stories. That's all that matters at the end of the day. What equipment used is secondary, because cameras don't tell stories. We do. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please do me a solid. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Or just watch some of these videos here.